Well, we're back at it again with another Kalos alternate starter best team. This time we're going to be using Chesnaught, and I have to say Chesnaught gets a lot of unnecessary slack. It's a good Pokemon, and I think it's a pretty good starter for a Kalos journey. None of the Kalos starters are actually all that bad, but Greninja's a god, so. You guys will also see that this team will be quite interesting, but similar to the last one we did with Delphox. There will be some new members for sure though. A team revolving around Chesnaught should be fun to talk about though. Before I get into what that team is though, let's hop into what a best team is real quick. A best team is a team of 6 Pokemon that is designed for the absolute best performance for its said Pokemon game. The team usually revolves around a best starter, but since we are using alternate starters, our team of 6 will be revolving around Chesnaught, specifically for Pokemon X and Y. Each team member is designed to do well against certain gym leaders, the Elite 4 members, champion, rivals, and the evil team leaders. In the end, we have a team that does well against pretty much all the important battles in the game. When making this team, we do provide movesets for each of the Pokemon. We include TM moves, but we do not include egg moves nor post-game tutor moves. So yeah, you know what's going down with this team? Let's hop right into it. So of course the Pokemon we're starting with is Chespin. Now Chesnaught might be the worst starter in Kalos, but it really isn't a slouch by any means. It has a nice and powerful 107 in attack and an even larger 122 defensive stat. It's pretty average everywhere else. It is a little slow, but it still pulls through for this team, as you will see soon enough. It has a solid arsenal of moves to pick from, and it'll hit your opponents hard with them. So that said, let's move on to its moveset. We have Seed Bomb, Rock Smash early on, and later followed by Hammer Arm, Poison Jab, and finally Spiky Shield. Seed Bomb is learned to level 35 and is one of the best physical grass moves Chesnaught can learn. Now you could go for the much more powerful Wood Hammer, which is later at 55, but you'll be taking recoil damage in exchange for the power. So I would personally stick with Seed Bomb. Next we have Rock Smash, and that is here because it actually takes Chesnaught a while to learn any fighting type moves. That team is given to you outside of the aquarium in Ambret Town. You'll then upgrade it to its most devastating fighting type move, Hammer Arm. That can be learned via Move Learner in Denimil Town. You'll want to use Rock Smash on Route 8, Azure Bay, or Frost Cavern to get its heart skills. Next is Poison Jab, which might not get used very often, but is a solid coverage move for the newly introduced Fairy type. That move's TM can be purchased at the Shallow City Pokemart. And lastly, we have Chesnaught's signature move, Spiky Shield. It's a no-brainer to have this move on Chesnaught. It has a lot more threats in this region, so a nice form of protection that also can dish out damage if someone tries to attack you? Yeah, sign me up. This move is a level up move learned at level 36. With these moves, Chesnaught can stick it to Grant's team, Ramos' team with Poison Jab, and watch out for Jumpluff's Acrobatics, Clement's Magneton and Helioisk, Valerie's Mr. Mime and Sylveon, but you'll really need to be careful there, Olympia's Slow King of Seed Bomb, Wolfrick's entire team, Aliana's Mightyena, Briona's team, Mabel's team must watch out for Flamethrower and Ice Shard, Lysander's Pyro just beware of Fire Blast, Tyrannus Crawdont, Travis Forgus a Poison Jab, Sean's Delcatty and Greninja, Kalen Mysterina's Absol and Delphox, Malva's Pyro if you're careful of Flamethrower, Seabolt's Clawitzer, Starmie and Barbaracle, Wickstrom's Probopass, and finally Dianthus Tyrantrum, Aurora's and Gardevoir. Chesnaught is definitely not the best starter by any means. It's got a good amount of weaknesses present in this region, and being slow doesn't help that. But it's very powerful, is solidly defensive, and can get the job done. As long as you pay attention to the risks, you'll be able to go through Kalos no problem at all. Next up, we have a new member to the Best Team series being Talonflame. I know in the last Best Team video, I really talked about how great Hawlucha was, and I do stand by that. However, Hawlucha isn't really needed here, as it would be kind of a redundant team member. So in my opinion, Talonflame is the next best option for the direction this team is going in. Fletchling can be found on Route 2 and will reach its final evolution at level 35. Talonflame might not have the most diverse move pool in the world, but it does have some pretty solid moves at its disposal. Coupled along with very solid stats, you'll see that Talonflame can put in some great work. Now for its moveset, we have Fly, Flamethrower, Acrobatics, and Bulk Up. Fly is here for obvious reasons. We need to get to places quickly, and Fly is the way to do that. That HM is given to you by Professor Sycamore in Comorian City. Next is Flamethrower, which isn't available until later on, so just use Talonflame's level up fire moves until then. Flamethrower's TM is given to you by Hexmaniac in the Anastar City Pokemon Center between the hours of 11 AM and 5:59 PM. Now I know some of you guys are going to be asking, what about Flare Blitz? Well, Flare Blitz gives a lot of recoil, and that's just not good. Next we have Acrobatics. Since we don't usually run any items on our Pokemon, Acrobatics is going to be Talonflame's best flying type move, as it'll hit for 110 base damage before stab is included. Won't take 2 turns off like Fly, and won't cause any recoil damage like Brave Bird did. That team is given to you after the TM quiz in Comorian City. And lastly, we have Bulk Up, which we have here simply to bulk those attack and defensive stats. That team is given to you by a Battle Girl in Snowbell City. With this moveset, this early bird gets to warm against Viola's team, Karina's team, Ramos' team, Clement's Magneton, just be careful, Valerie's Mawile, Wolfrick's team, Briona's Bisharp, Mabel's Weavile, Lysander's Mienshao, Tierna's Roserade, Wixstrom's Klefki, Scizor, and Aegislash, and finally Dianthus, Hawlucha, and Gourgeist. It might seem like Talonflame doesn't do a whole lot on the surface, but once you get an opponent it does well against, you're usually taking out their whole team. Of course, Hawlucha is still the best flyer for Kalos to me, but it just didn't quite fit in with the Kalos team this time around. Talonflame is still great though, and I was glad to be able to throw it on this team. Our next Pokemon is a returning member to the series that we haven't had the pleasure of seeing in quite a bit. That Pokemon is none other than Gardevoir. I mean, how could I not eventually include Gardevoir on one of these best teams? X and Y are the games that gave Gardevoir a breath of fresh air, giving it that shiny new fairy typing and further expanding its move pool. You all should know how great it is by now, especially with those stats. Ralts can be found on Route 4 and will finally evolve into Gardevoir at level 30. So for its moveset, we've got a pretty standard one. Moonblast, Psychic, Thunderbolt, and Shadow Ball. Moonblast is a level up move learned at level 85. However, that's an absurdly long time to wait, so we're once again going to go with the mover learner route. So make sure you really stock up on those hard skills. If you don't really feel like doing that, then wait for Dazzling Gleam after you beat Valerie. Next is Psychic, which is just a staple on a Pokemon like Gardevoir. That move is learned at level 40. For that all-important water and flying type coverage, we have Thunderbolt. It's a very strong move that will serve Gardevoir well. That move's team is given to you by Clement after you defeat him. And then finally we have Shadow Ball. This move's team can be found in Terminus Cave. Using these moves, Gardevoir dominates Karina's team, Ramus's Weepinbell, Aliana's team, Brione's Liepard, Mabel's Weavile, Xerosic's team, Lysander's Mienshao, Honchkrow and Gyarados, Tierno's team, Trevor's Aerodactyl, Shauna's Goodra and Greninja, Calum Restrina's entire team aside from Jolteon, Malva, Chandelier, and Talonflame, just watch out for those ghost moves, Seabolt's team, Wixstrom's Aegislash, be careful of Shadowclaw, Drazna's team, and finally Dianthus, Hawlucha, Tyrantrum, Gourgeist, Goodra, and Gardevoir. As usual, Gardevoir does super well on this team. It's super effective against a lot of teams in this region and can still do serious damage against the Pokemon it's neutral against. I know a lot of you have been missing Guardy, and honestly, so have I. So I was more than happy to put this amazing Pokemon back on yet another best team. Coming up fourth on this team is one of the chonkiest members we have ever had, being Snorlax. Snorlax can be found right next to Campfire Town, lying in the middle of the road. You're able to capture it at level 15. I've explained Snorlax so many times in the Best Team series. It's one of the best normal type Pokemon out there. Excellent stats, nice move pool, powerhouse. I think you all get it. I wanted to give Snorlax a test drive for this team, and I think it's going to do great. He may be lying in the middle of the road, but if you can capture it, I swear to you all, it is worth it. I don't think I really need to explain Snorlax anymore. It's bulky, blah blah blah, you get it. A move for Snorlax is fat, broken, and fun, so let's get into it. We got Return, Bulldoze/Earthquake, Crunch, and then Rock Tomb/Rock Slide. Return can be found in Lumiose City from Professor Sycamore's assistant. This is the best move for Snorlax, hands down. It gets 102 power when it hits max happiness. Next up we have Bulldoze for any early ground type move, and that can be found in Lumiose City's South Boulevard Pokemart for 10k. Earthquake is the final ground type attack, and it's great for a lot of coverage. The team for that can be found on Route 22. Crunch is excellent for Ghost and Psychic types. Crunch can be learned at level 49. Lastly, we have Rock Tomb for early rock coverage, and that can be given to you by Grant after you defeat him. The better rock move, Rock Slide, can be found in Corway Town. With this arsenal of moves, Snorlax can squish Grant's team, Karina's Hawlucha, Ramus's Jumpluff, Clement's entire team, Valerie's Mawile, Olympia's team if you can get to level 49 for Crunch, Wolfric's team, Brandon's Bisharp, Sologia's team, Mabel's team, Xerosic's Crobat, Lysander's Honchkrow and Pyroar, Tyrani's Talonflame, Trevor's Raichu and Aerodactyl, Calum Restrina's Meowstic, Jolteon, Altaria, and Delphox, Malva's entire team, Seabold's Gyarados and Barbaracle, Wixstrom's Klefki, Probopass, and Aegislash, Drazna's Dragalge, Altaria, and Noivern, and finally Dianthus, Tyrantrum, Aurorus, and Gourgeist. So this moveset might not be the most interesting that we've ever had in Snorlax, but it definitely is effective. And that's what's great about Snorlax. You can run so many surprising moves on it, which gives you many different options on how it can be used in a playthrough. Welcome back to the team, you big, fat, lovable loaf. Hi Lapras, welcome back for the gazillionth time. I know you guys have seen Lapras on Best Teams several times before, especially on all the Johto teams. Lapras, in my opinion, is the best surfer in Kalos next to Greninja. It also has the dual typing of Ice, making it an even better option for dealing with Dragon-type Pokemon. Lapras also has access to Ice Beam via level up, rather than a TM. It has access to all these great moves without really having to do much. Right after you get Lapras, you get Surf. It's an incredibly great Pokemon with a lot of great potential to do well in just about every region it's available in. The typing combo, the stats, move pool, heck, even the learn set is excellent. Lapras is great. You guys have seen Lapras' moveset a lot, and it's really similar to the ones I have made before, so here we go. Surf, Ice Beam, Waterfall, and Psychic. Surf is here because we got Surf and Swim. Surf is given to you by Calum Serena after defeating Corina at the Tower of Mastery. Ice Beam is here for Ice Stab, and that can be learned to level 32. Waterfall is here if you didn't catch an HM Slave. The HM for that can be given to you by Shauna on Route 19. Or if you don't want Waterfall, use Thunderbolt. The TM for that can be given to you by Clement after you defeat him. It's coverage for other water attacks, and we've used it before, so yeah, it's a good move. Lastly, Psychic can be found in the Pokemon Village northwest on top of the waterfall. Psychic I usually put on here for the fighting types it struggles against. Lapras, as you can see, time and time again, has great coverage. With these moves, Lapras can do well against Ramos' team, Clemency Mulga, just be careful of Volt Switch, Olympia's Sigilith, Aliana's Dredigan, Mabel's Houndoom, Zoroark's Crobat, Lysander's Honchkrow and Pyroar, Tyranio's Talonflame and Roserade, Trevor's Aerodactyl, Shauna's Goodra, Kalen Mastrina's Altaria and Delphox, Malva's entire team, Wickstrom's Probopass, Drazna's entire team, and finally Dianthus Hawlucha, Tyrantrum, Aurorus, Gourgeist, and Goodra. We took a different approach this time around with Lapras, focusing more on its water power compared to having an extra coverage move. Overall though, we still had pretty much all the same Pokemon, just the ones weak to water a bit harder. In the last spot on this Kalos team, we have none other than the pseudo-legendary from Sinnoh, Garchomp. Garchomp is back again on a third Kalos best team, and it still holds a lot of power, being a pseudo-legendary Pokemon. I've already explained Garchomp in the previous team of Kalos, so this is going to be the same thing I said before. I don't think I need to get into how powerful Garchomp is. You all know by now. Again, I have to say, do not Mega Evolve it. It's a waste of your time, as the OG Garchomp is much better. To find Gible, you just have to search a little bit on Route 13 before Lumia City, and you should have no problem finding it. Garchomp's moveset is as powerful as it would be on a competitive one, so here we go. We got Dragon Claw, Earthquake, Crunch, and Stone Edge. Dragon Claw can be learned to level 33, and early Dragon attacks are Dual Chop, which can be learned to level 24. Dragon Rage is also really good if you want 40 automatic damage. Earthquake is great, it's the best ground type attack it can get, and the team for that, I'll just leave that in the video description, it's complicated for me to explain. Crunch can be learned to level 48, and that's great for other Ghost and Psychic type mons. Stone Edge is there for basic coverage, and the team for that can be found near Frost Cavern after going down a waterfall. If you noticed, that was literally the same exact thing I said in the Kalos best team for Delphox. Nothing has changed at all, Garchomp is excellent. And finally with these moves, Garchomp sinks its jaws into Clement's team, Valerie's Mawile, Olympia's team, Wolfrick's team, Aliana's Dredigan, Brynner's Bisharp, Sologe's team, Mabel's team, Zoroark's Crobat, Lysander's Honchkrow and Pyroar, Tyranios Talonflame, Trevor's Raichu and Aerodactyl, Shauna's Goodra, Kalen Mastrina's Meowstic, Jolteon, Altaria, and Delphox, Malva's team, Seabold's team aside from Clawitzer, Wickstrom's Klefki, Probopass, and Edgeslash, Drazna's team, and finally Dianthus Hawlucha, Tyrantrum, Aurorus, Gourgeist, and Goodra. Garchomp got a perfect sweep, managing to be on all the Kalos best teams, and for good reasons. It's such a powerful and versatile Pokemon, and with how many things play out in these games, it only makes sense to include it again. Well, that wraps up the best team for Kalos Chesnaught Edition. I know you all had been waiting a bit for me to wrap up the Kalos alternate starter teams for a while, so I'm glad I was finally able to deliver on that. Naturally, the next step forward is going to be the Alola alternate teams. However, I think those will be put on the back burner for a little bit. With Sword and Shield coming out in just 2 months and everything else I have planned for the channel, I don't quite have a spot for them just yet, but don't you worry, it won't be too long before we get to use them. Trust me. Anyways, what'd y'all think of this team? Did I nail it, or are there other Pokemon you would have preferred to see me use instead? Let me know down in the comments below like always. If you enjoyed the video, why not leave a like and subscribe to my channel with notifications on, that way you never miss an upload. If you want to support me further, consider following my Twitch where I stream a lot of Pokemon content and all kinds of other Nintendo content like Zelda, Fire Emblem, and much more. Want to support me further and gain cool perks? Check out my Patreon. Daniel Leone, Lady Crimson, Memory Martin, The Lazy Leo, Matthew Young, Awesome Lego, Jarrett Weezaustin, and Sudden Grider did, and I want to thank them personally for going above and beyond. It means the world to me. I think I'm wrap this up though. I'm Mr. Gumbrand, and I will see you in the future for more awesome Pokemon content.